So what's your name and badge number?
My name is Sergeant Hines with Warren County Sheriff's Office, 415.
Thank you. I'm now recording this interaction because this was a consensual conversation where you walked upon me and decided that because I won't give you my ID, that you're going to say that the result of couponing is now shoplifting. I've asked you to leave. I said I do not want to continue this consensual conversation. You refused. Said I don't get to dictate when you leave. And that's fine.
You didn't actually ask me.
Yes, I did. I asked to end this conversation. I am asking you to leave. I wanted to end this conversation. Okay, well, I've given you the information I have. Unless you can speak to the items out there in the grass, I don't know what else you can do to investigate. I've explained that my girlfriend coupons to you. I've explained that this is the result of that. I don't know what else that you want. She shops all over. No answer I give you is gonna make you think, oh, what I thought when I walked up is not the case, because you predetermined the notion of what you were going to come upon when you saw this yard sale.
Determine anything. That's why we investigate.
But you have no reasonable articulable suspicion that shoplifting occurred ever.
I've already provided that reasonable, articulable.
Which is what?
Multiples and.
So it's illegal to own multiples of items and then sell those items. So the people who are at the flea market who have multiples of items and are selling items should all be put under suspicion for committing shoplifting.
I just came here to have a simple conversation.
And I told you my name's Tony.
Your obstruction of that is.
There's no obstruction. Obstruction is a physical act. I'm not obstructing you. I do not have to help in your investigation. That is not my job. That is your job. You're required to do your investigation. I'm not required to say anything to you under the Fifth Amendment. You have a supervisor coming?
I've already advised you. I am the supervisor.
Okay, I wanted your supervisor. Isn't that your policy to try to contact your supervisor?
No.
Okay. Do you have a card?
I believe I have one.
Can I have one? Yeah, please. So that when I file a complaint with your department, I know exactly who I'm filing it on. This is harassment. I've asked you to leave. I would like for you to leave. You have no reason to be here. I've explained to you how we have come upon these items.
I was asked to be here, so I do have a reason to be here.
Okay, you can investigate somewhere else. No. There's nothing else for you to investigate here.
This is where it's occurring.
Okay, I understand that, but I've asked you to leave. You have no right to be here. And now you're impeding me from being able to sell the items because people aren't going to stop when there's a sheriff standing on the porch.
Why would they not stop?
Because it looks like there's something intimidating or scary going on here. There's a man with a gun on my porch, standing over top of me.
Because I go to stores and people don't leave the store.
No, but people aren't going to be deterred from a store. They're going to think that I'm some type of criminal when there's no criminal act going on here.
Well, I don't believe that.
You have no reasonable articulable suspicion. Having multiples of an item is not a crime. Selling multiples of an item is not a crime. You have nothing to suggest that any of this was stolen. Do you have me on video walking out of a store with all of these items without paying?
Potentially.
You don't. I can guarantee you 1,000% you don't.
Okay. What about your girlfriend?
I can guarantee 1,000% that she is not on camera stealing anything ever in her life. And the fact that you continue to sit here and act like this is ridiculous. You're trying to be quiet now that I have you on camera, but I want you to understand that I would like for you to leave. You have no reason to be here. I've asked you to end this consensual conversation and you refuse. On no basis. Name and badge number, sir?
Alex Bickford, 486.
Thank you. Do you have a card?
Yep.
I'm just watching.
I've asked you to leave several times. Now you're walking through my yard taking pictures of my items. You can do that from somewhere other than this property. This makes no sense. You walked up on this property. This was a consensual conversation. You're trying to say selling multiples of items is somehow shoplifting. It is not. My girlfriend coupons, I explained that to you. You're continuing to push this because of some ego trip that you have because I wouldn't give you my ID. So are you going to come back and apologize when you find out you're wrong? Are you? Will you come back and apologize if you find out with what you're doing right now is completely wrong? I understand that. I asked for his supervisor. I know. I want his supervisor because what he's doing is completely baseless. He has no right to just walk up and assume that all this is shoplifted.
I don't know anything about that.
Did somebody credible call you all and say, "Hey, I know for a fact all this stuff is shoplifted"?
I don't know. I just got here.
Because suspicion that it's shoplifted doesn't give you a right to come up on me and demand my ID and say that there's possibly a crime here. I told him I wouldn't give him my ID because there's no crime committed and we're not a stop and ID state. And so he decides to push the issue further. Am I incorrect about that? Do I have to ID to you if I have not committed a crime? We are not a stop and ID state, are we?
Well, if there's reasonable suspicion. Yes.
No, if I'm detained and I give you a false name, it's a crime. If I am lawfully arrested, I have to give you my ID. I do not have to give you my ID just because you ask for it. We're not a stop and ID state. It's not a requirement. I'm going to FOIA request that. I want an incident report number. Can I have your card and can I have your name and badge number?
I'm Officer Williams, badge is 171.
And your name, ma'am?
Officer Bryant.
And badge number?
155.
Okay, and do you have cards?
Yep.
Can I have one, please?
Sure.
I'd like to know who I'm complaining on whenever I go to the police department. All right, that's great. Thank you. I don't have an issue with y'all doing your job, but now I think it's going a little too far. There's 4 officers with a man sitting down in a chair.
So she's on return to duty, so we're considered one because I'm training her.
Okay, I understand that, but there are 4 people with weapons standing in front of me, correct? Okay. For what?
We're investigating a
okay,
crime.
Okay.
We were requested to assist with an officer that was
okay,
conducting
but my
an
question is, what reasonable articulable suspicion do you have that these items were stolen?
I don't know. It's not my case. I was requested to assist another agency, so that's what we're here doing.
So nobody can give me any answers on why you reasonably believe these items are stolen.
Like I said, this is the first time I've met you. I don't know all the details.
I explained to him that my girlfriend coupons,
okay,
and that we come by these lawfully.
Okay.
She does this for a living, for the purpose of selling these. We have these sales years and years and years in a row, and not once has anybody ever come up to us and suspected us. We've had cops stop and shop here. We've had no issues. I just don't understand how somehow this is now a crime.
I don't know. I was just asking simple questions, and you immediately.
No, but I don't want to give you my ID because there's no crime. There's no crime being committed.
Well, then we call that a clue.
You call it what you want. It's me exercising my rights. I don't have to ID. We're not a stop and ID state.
I'm just asking simple questions, but you refuse to answer my question.
I told you that she coupons. That wasn't sufficient for you because you believe that the stuff is stolen. So there's no way for me to convince you that it's not.
Not the way you've been speaking to me. No.
Well,
if she coupons, she should have. Most couponers keep pretty good records. I mean, does she have receipts for all
I'm
this?
sure she has tons of receipts, either in her purse or in the house.
I say because you said there's no way to prove it.
She does Ibotta. She does Ibotta. She does the other little thing that gives you stuff for your receipts. Yes.
So it would be a very simple request for me to walk up and ask to see the receipts. Would you be willing to do that?
You could ask that.
Would you be willing?
But unless you can prove that there was a crime committed, there would be no reason for me to have to. Now, she may voluntarily do it when she gets back.
She's on her way, though.
I don't know where she's at. But I don't have to give you my ID just because you asked for it. That's not how the law works.